Don't say to me, I just want to reduce a few hours at work and have an extra holiday per year, because to me, that's not enough. That is not enough. So, no, that is not something that I believe in. And how's about we just flip this kind of thinking on its head? And actually, why don't we show children a way of creating life within your natural flow? Just to show them that we can create a life where we listen to the needs of our body, where we respect ourselves, and where we actually have time for self-care. Hi, I'm Beki Eakins, business mindset and lifestyle coach for occupational therapists. I focus on creating a freedom-based online business, helping OTs to package up their skills in unique and exciting offers that feel so good that they sell with ease in the online space. Since leaving the profession of OT, I have now worked with hundreds of clients online, helping them to create a life they feel inspired by. In this podcast, I will talk about the lifestyle goals, mindset, and strategy you need to create your own life of freedom. I'd love to talk to you today about lifestyle. So, really, what lifestyle do you actually want? I think this is a question we often don't think about. And don't say to me, I just want to reduce a few hours at work and have an extra holiday per year, because to me, that's not enough. That is not enough. So I don't want you to tell me about your current lifestyle with a tiny tweak, unless you are so massively happy with how things are that you really don't feel the need to make improvements. Now, that is possible for people. But I would question, if that's the case, why are you listening to this podcast in the first place? OT yourself to freedom. So don't just think of your current lifestyle with a small tweak. Actually, tap into really what is the dream lifestyle that you actually truly want. And there's one thing that I've learned over the years, and that you won't get what you want if you don't know what you want. That's one of the most common things, that we actually never sit down and really truly think about these things. And when we create a picture in our mind, we really focus on the dream and then step into that picture. It is amazing how that will literally just come to your reality in magical timeframes. So I've had literally so many dreams come true. I find it quite exciting, really. And one of my biggest dreams that I'll talk about, you might have heard me talk about it before, was this desire to create a life where every day felt like I was on holiday. And by that, I just mean that I don't mean that lying by a sunbed every day, because actually that would be super boring. I'm not even very good at doing that at all on a holiday. So that's not a holiday to me. But what I do mean is like having choice every day, an ability to go places, to go beautiful places, or maybe to do nothing as your mood chooses, and just an ability to be in different destinations whenever you want, and to be surrounded by beautiful surroundings all the time. So I shared my dream right at the start of my journey. I can remember talking about this with a few people who literally laughed in my face. People scoffed at me. Oh, well, wouldn't we all want that? But it's just not possible. So that's why I've got a job. And I was told that time after time. And others said they wouldn't want it, as then their holiday wouldn't feel special, which is a theory I've never been able to understand. So why wouldn't you want to feel amazing every day? Just to try and keep that feeling of special. It really doesn't sit with me, that, because I think, because I do gratitude every single day, that every single day I feel true and deep appreciation for where I'm at, and where my life is at that moment. So I'm not getting the let's save the joy for a holiday kind of moment. It actually is the same kind of theory that people said to me about education. Oh, you must put your children in school because you've got to toughen those kids up ready for real life and for hard life and for work. And, if they don't start getting into those routines now, they're never going to be able to manage later. And again, it's just a theory that I just don't get. So we've got to create a life where they're used to overworking. They don't listen to their body. They start that early on in life. They start to disrespect their body needs just so they can harden themselves up for a workforce to do exactly the same. So no, that is not something that I believe in. And how's about we just flip this kind of thinking on its head and actually, why don't we show children a way of creating life within your natural flow, just to show them that we can create a life where we listen to the needs of our body, where we respect ourselves, and where we actually have time for self-care, where we challenge ourselves. Yes, that's important. Growth, personal growth, development, they're all important. Education is important, but within the confines of good mental health and intuitive living. So the idea that we, have to save ourselves, for very rare occasions when we might be allowed to feel good, and that's called a holiday, that doesn't sit with me. The idea that we have to train ourselves to be super hard to manage in the workforce, that is not how I want to live. So I have heard some people say, well, you can't be on holiday every day because you would literally just eat chocolate and drink wine all day long. And again, is that something that really makes you feel good? Isn't that actually just something you do because you were so stressed and then you've just got this 1 week holiday and you're just letting it all go in the only way you know how? To me, that's not something that you have to do. So right back a few years ago now, we were going to back festivals with the kids, 3 months at a time. We've often had these longer holidays where we've just gone to one festival after another. And I was drinking. I was a big drinker, and I could drink every single day. But I didn't like how I felt because at the festival, everybody was drinking. So it went from, drinking at a weekend to drinking every day. But I didn't feel good. So it quickly motivated me to actually just go sober. And ever since I've not really drank. It's incredibly year, might have one drink a year or something. But it was just an intuitive switch, really, because I didn't want to stop the partying. I didn't want to stop the festivals, but I did want to feel good. So to me, a holiday is not about making yourself live to excess just to try and feel good. And that also seems a little bit strange. So everybody had their opinion on my dream lifestyle, and that's okay because it was my dream and not theirs, and that's completely okay. But it did seem like an impossibility, and I don't know what it is, some persistence that I've got to ignore people, but I stormed forwards with creating this life. I just had this really super strong belief that I could make it happen. And I saw other people doing it. I think that was the big thing, is I saw other people had a lifestyle that I wanted. So that made it realistic to me. And the belief, of course, affected the actions that I took. So I made a series of decisions that actually moved me forwards to my dream, even though I couldn't see that at the time. And it felt like very slow progress in terms of creating this lifestyle. I recorded a mindset meditation, one that you can do overnight. Very powerful in terms of helping you create the confidence, the self-belief, and deal with any money mindset issues. I use these kind of overnight meditations all the time. I found them incredibly powerful. So I've created a very special one, and I'm giving it for free to all of my podcast listeners. You can download it on the show notes. So the steps that I actually took were things such as creating an online business, moving to the countryside, choosing a home that has panoramic views and nicer rooms than most of the five-star hotels I've ever stayed in, creating a lifestyle that doesn't require me to work a lot. And it was lots and lots and lots of these small decisions that have led me to create this lifestyle. At times when I've been working on my business, I can remember thinking to myself, goodness, I've got myself into a pickle here. I am working more hours than I want. What can I do to change that? Because I'm always guided by this ultimate dream that I want to feel like every day's a holiday. And so if I'm feeling the pressure in my business, I do literally just tweak what I'm doing, and very quickly my life feels back in sync again. So it's interesting how that works. And it was quite obvious how I was shaping my reality when I chose the latest home that I'm in. Because when I was searching for homes, when I just left my husband, I think the temptation was to get a home that felt just like an average home. And I was looking at some houses and they had on-street parking and not enough bedrooms for what I wanted. There was no views. The houses would just look over other houses. And that wasn't part of the lifestyle that I'd imagined for myself. So I just kept saying, no, no, I don't like this. But every day I was also getting told no, as I was trying to find a rented home when I was in Australia and I was looking in North Wales, so completely the other side of the world. And nobody wanted to rent to me, who's the single entrepreneur who was also trying to bring two kids and a dog into the home. And I just kept hearing no after no after no for all the nice houses. They were getting snapped up. And what I actually was holding out for, a dream home, it felt like it was an impossibility. But I kept holding tight to that strong vision. And every day, every single morning, I felt gratitude for my home before I even had it. So whilst I was in Australia, in my morning gratitude, I was walking around my fictional home in North Wales and feeling gratitude for it. And sure enough, it was a happy ending, and the exact perfect house did just appear in my reality, and the landlady really wanted me to take it. So that was just a perfect example of how that happens, that you set a strong belief and then you take steps towards that. And all of the steps that started off as very small steps. I mean, my original dream to live life like I was on holiday was right back in 2016. And I did feel like I was going nowhere fast. And then all of a sudden, all the changes just started accelerating as I realized that bit by bit, all my dreams were coming true. And it's definitely not been straightforward or immediate. And there have been times when I've evaluated and thought, oh no, this last decision that I've made has taken me off this path. All of a sudden I'm busy, or I'm stuck inside, or I've not got the freedom that I want. And sometimes when you're a family, that's even harder because you've got little ones with their opinions as well. And so there can be a readjustment that's needed, or a compromise. And initially, I did think that I wanted to be on holiday, and that meant I was never working again. I wanted passive income and to no longer work. I was really burnt out at the time when I thought that. And when I stopped working back in 2019, I lasted no longer than 6 months until I had what can only be described as the biggest surge of energy and drive towards creating a business. So I had 6 months off work, and it was very much a time of healing. And I thought that was my forever. But in reality, I needed that sense of purpose. I needed to feel like I was doing good in the world. And it is a basic human need to expand and to grow and to help others. So later on in 2020, I did realize that my dream for feeling like I was on holiday every day actually did need to include some form of productivity. So I do like to do some form of work or education or self-development most days. And I designed this in, but being productive didn't mean working crazy hours or being stuck to a location. I don't do 8-hour days even. I very often just work 2 hours, maybe early in the morning and then maybe something later at night. And I designed in exactly how I wanted to feel. So I wanted deep fulfillment, but I wanted a flexible strategy. I will work anything from 10 hours a week, which is pretty much the minimum that I could do at the minute, to around about 30 hours per week at the absolute most. It generally runs at the minute around 20 to 25. And I don't tend to work much in the summer just because we travel for big blocks of time. So I tend to work less in the summer, whereas in the winter, I feel like hunkering down and just sitting by the laptop and by the fire and doing more work. So I go with the flow of the seasons as well, which feels really good to me. And actually, weirdly, the children have done that for years. In fact, I think I might have learnt that from them, that when it was summer, they'd just be out and they'd be playing, climbing trees, off with the friends. And then when it was winter, we'd be in doing activities and projects and just studying more. And there just seems to be that natural flow. So the other thing to note with my lifestyle is I'm literally on fire at 5 a.m. until 9 a.m. if anyone ever meets me at that time. But after that, around about 9 a.m., I can feel my body pulling me away from work. It wants to get outside in the forest. By 10 a.m., oh my goodness, if I'm still working then, that's a killer for me. So I work with my urges and not against them. So every day, I try and get out and exercise in that morning period, because if I've been working since 5 or 6 a.m., I'm ready for it. And I also have to have a afternoon nap or meditation every single afternoon. It was something that I added in a few years ago, and it made such a big difference, because I think when you're a mother and you're a home educating mother, you're just with people all the time. And I used to feel really guilty if I took a break. And then one day I just realized that I was so much more productive and happier and just felt better if I just switched my brain off. And ever since then, I do that as a priority every single day. I switch my brain off. So it might be a meditation or it might be a nap. It really doesn't bother to me, because both are equally restorative for me. And I recognize that me recharging my batteries, particularly because I'm such an early riser and quite energized in the morning, and it's just part of my success. And it's exactly what I would do if I'm on holiday. So that is sticking. So I'd love to ask you today, if you could literally paint a picture in your mind of a perfect lifestyle, what would that be? How many hours might you be working per week? And would you be going out to work or would you work remotely? And what would you do for a living? Would you have a mobile base? And how much choice do you have in your daily life? And when you've got that choice, what would you spend it on? Would you create extra time for hobbies, self-care? Where would that time go? So a friend recently stayed over at my house and had just happened to mention, oh, I've got so many things to do today. I've got this bit of work and that bit of work. And I said to her, so my plan is I'm going to go to the forest, have a walk, and then I'm going to have a bath, and then I'll have a nap, and then I'll crack on with the jobs. And she just laughed at me. And she just remarked at how chilled my life was. Sometimes I feel like I've got that retired mentality, because even in the moments when I've got so many things to do, I recognize that I've got the choice every single day. and I don't have to put myself under pressure. And whereas in the past, I would put myself under pressure, feeling that was the optimum way to be, now I recognize that the optimum way to be is to feel amazing, because when you feel amazing, you do the jobs twice as quick anyway. And so it just literally took me back when she was laughing at me. It took me back to a moment years ago when I was just rushing constantly from the very second I woke to the very second I collapsed. And I can remember years ago actually joking about not needing any chairs in my house, because I literally would go from standing up to collapsing on the bed, and there never seemed to be any occasion where I could just sit down. But that was the lifestyle that I created, and I created it because I thought that was right. But it wasn't. And I was always rushing to get to childcare, work, and then a jam-packed diary of social arrangements. And now I can still occasionally get myself in a pickle with arranging things, but I do understand a lot more about getting the balance with that. So in summary, just really paint the life that you want. Really think widely about this. Hopefully I've given you some ideas about different goals, about ways of thinking that when you are actually looking at your life, you can design exactly what you want. You don't need to just think of life in the same way as you always have done. You don't need to say, oh, I'd just like to reduce 5 hours. That would make me happy. You can have radical change. You can completely switch things up. You can really, truly create a life that you are very happy with. If you are an OT with 3 to 10 hours per week spare, then the OT Yourself to Freedom membership is best for you. It will teach you how to create a business, an online freedom style business, but in an affordable way. And this is best for those of you who haven't got the time to really go for it. If you have the time to go for it and you want to achieve bigger results in a short space of time, what you're looking for is the OT Freedom Collective. This is for OTs who've got 10 hours a week or more and you're just really keen to get big results. That's where you're going to be closely supported by our team for a 6-month period. It will be intensive. You'll learn everything you need to create this freedom style business. And the biggest word that people say about it is that it's life-changing.